Hello, everybody, and welcome to Brunch with Bigfoot, Michigan. Rob, I'm your host, good old BMR. Joining me, as usual, the beautiful Krista Tweedy from the Blondes and Booze Paranormal Podcast. If this is your first time here, please subscribe, give a thumbs up, and hit the alert bell. Share us out. You can find us on YouTube at Bigfoot, Michigan Rob, and Texas Front Porch. Also, subscribe to the Blondes and Booze Paranormal Podcast, all on YouTube. We're also on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, and wherever podcasts are found. You can also find us on KPNL Radio. Thank you to the lovely Selene out in Oregon for that. Find us on Facebook at Texas Front Porch, Brunch with Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. And you can find me at beyondbmr.com if you have any encounter stories you'd like to send over to me, which I do every Friday. Don't forget to subscribe to all of our channels across the board. If you like our content and you'd like to help support the channels, the Super Chat is open. Yeah, the Super Chat is open long after the show ends. So is the Super Thanks if you care to participate. Check out our About pages on all of our channels. We do much more than live shows. We also do videos, provide content, and we keep you abreast of scheduled events, conferences, and other things of that nature across the board. With that being said, I'm going to bring up Krista.
Hey.
Hi, Krista. How's it going?
I'm good. I am good. I am going out of town this weekend, or well, actually leaving today. So I got all my stuff packed, ready to go, loaded in my car.
You know, I tell you, between you and Brandy, you do more traveling in a year than I've done in 5 years.
Yeah, we travel a lot. It's never ending, but it's fun. It's worth it. We like getting out, meeting people, and we've met a lot of people in chat, and so it's awesome.
No, it is awesome. I love doing that too. This year, I'm taking I'm not doing as much traveling this year. I'm going to gear up next year, but I'm pleased to say that I got my brace off my knee now. I've gone through some rehab on physical therapy, so now I can actually walk around with a slight limp.
Well, that's good. At least you can walk.
I do the ice compressions, but man, I'm so happy to finally not feel like, well, the person that, I hate being immobile.
Right. I hear you.
The past like 2 weeks doing a show, every time I have to get up, it's like I got to go like grab an old man's cane.
Right.
Help me get out of the chair,
Well, and you were having issues, and now it sounds like you got all that under control.
I think so. I set up a new cable lines with a different provider. That seems to be working on the internet side, and now we have storms brewing up. So we'll just see how that goes later on today. I won't be on later, but today's show, I like to do at least once a month with you and I and go over a lot of the weird stuff we've come across over the month, because I've got some cool. I have some cool stuff to bring up a little later in the show about my neighbor. My neighbor was asking me, what I did for a living, and I don't tell everybody I owned a bar and I sold it. And then I said, well, here's what I actually do now. And I gave him my YouTube channel. I said, yeah, I do podcasts, talk about Bigfoot, Dogman, the paranormal.
Right.
He's like, really? So he's my neighbor. He moved in like 2 years ago. And I talk occasionally. Nobody's a stranger to me. I'm friends with everybody.
Sure.
And so I said, you know what? I'm going to tell this guy, So he told me that he's been going down to the creek. Now, a lot of you might know from past shows I describe where I live. There's a creek that wraps around our subdivision, and it's pretty creepy. Some areas are creepy. I seen mangrove, if that's the appropriate word, dogs. I mean, it's kind of wild dogs, but this guy, he goes down to the creek and he spears carp.
Huh.
He don't eat carp. He owns a meat market.
Right.
And what he does is he spears the carp, and that's a big seller, believe it or not.
Wow.
And And so he gets them for free and he sells them for whatever. I said, really, people eat carp? He goes, well, if you smoke them, they don't taste bad. But he's got a little market, a little niche at his store where people just buy it up. So he was telling me about a strange encounter that he had in our creek, which is like literally I can walk to it in 2 minutes. I'm not gonna I'm gonna talk about that a little later,
Well, I'm
a little
anxious to
later,
hear.
a little later today. And
Yeah.
you know what I forgot to do, everybody that's listening and joining us? You can find on Mondays, it is Texas Front Porch at 9 in the East. Tuesdays is Van Buren Variety, 8 o'clock in the East. Beyond BMR comes on at 9 in the East. Jason McLean does something called Mysterious Library at Untold Radio AM. You can find that at 10 in the East on Tuesdays as well. Wednesdays, one more week for Jason McLean Live.
Mm-hmm.
You can find him at 8 in the East. Jason McLean questions everything. That is also the name of his YouTube channel. So everybody subscribe to Jason. Jason's not going anywhere. We're doing some shifts across the board on all our channels. So some schedule alignments are being redone. We'll probably be doing another show to fill Jason's time slot on Wednesday. I'm not going to mention that yet because nothing is concrete or set in stone.
Right.
But still subscribe to Jason because he puts out videos like every 2 days. So go check out Jason. Thursdays is Brunch with Bigfoot, Michigan Rob at 1 o'clock in the East. Then I got the lovely Brandy and Krista. Sorry, you guys are interchangeable. I love you both equally. They do the blondes, the booze, the paranormal podcast Thursdays at 9 in the East. Then you can get the blondes and the booze again on Fridays mixed in with the woo. You can find them, of course, at 9 in the East. Saturday, Tex, Danielle Diva. They do Infamous Minds. It's true crime. It's every Saturday, 3 in the East. Please check them out. And, of course, our friend Jessica Jones, Spaced Out Radio, Saturday and Sunday, 10 o'clock in the East. And, of course, she is the Cryptid Huntress and does stuff on her channel as well.
She has a great channel, great shows.
Yes, and she's going to be – so a lot of you out there, you know, one of my biggest videos I've ever done was Dogman Island. If you haven't seen Dogman Island, there's well over 1,000 views. It's a place close by me. If you haven't seen the video, please check it out. I did a part 1 and a part 2. It's about this island. People in Groseal, Michigan hear these strange noises in their basement. I'm not going to tell the whole story. It's a 20-minute story on YouTube.
Right.
And there was a tunnel that led underneath the Detroit River. It led to this mysterious island. And they found a dog man on the island. So the lovely Jessica is going to remote view that for me.
That's awesome.
And we are going to, I'm not going to disclose the date because there's a lot of things involved with this, but we're going to she's going to remote view that, and we're going to do a live show on Dogman Island coming up here this summer. And good old BMR, I got a buddy with a boat. And we're going to Dogman Island. Me and this guy are going there.
That's awesome.
Date, I'm not going to disclose the date or the time yet. It's going to be in the summer. I am so excited to do this live investigation. I don't know that we'll put that live on YouTube, but I'm going to go there. We'll probably do what I'm going to do first, though, is Jessica and I, she's going to do the remote view, and I'm going to do that prior to going to the island.
Cool.
So, and then, you know, she might do the remote viewing, Krista, and say, Rob, don't go.
Right.
Don't go, right?
Will you still go if she tells you not to?
Damn right I'm going.
I knew you were going to say that.
Susie B says, wear armor. Well, Susie B, I'm bringing this, my Lucky Rock. I did
awesome.
it. Susie B, you're awesome. Susie's a great artist. She calls me, or I talk to her via DM. Rob, what type of animal do you like? I said, my favorite animal is a lion. Okay. And I was supposed to meet up with her in Las Vegas for the Dave Scott Spaced Out fan party. I missed it because of my knee surgery. So she painted this for me. And it's got the lion and Rob, some sort of energy arrows. I believe these are, Susie. And so I'm going to bring this will be in my pocket, Susie, when I go to Dogman Island.
That's awesome.
to give me good luck and positive energy. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm going to do that. So thanks, Susie, for that.
Yeah, that's pretty
And
badass. She did a good job on that.
yeah, so yeah, she did a fantastic job. Thanks once again to Susie. And I got to do this too. My buddy William Lunsford, he's been on the show many
Hmm.
times. He sent me this. It's a copy of his book,
Very cool.
Searching for the Unfindable, My Quest for the Arkansas Bigfoot.
That's awesome.
This is written by William Lunsford, and this is all of William's. Look, it's thick. Look at this.
That is.
I got it in the mail, and this is all of William's, all of his experiences in his quest for the Falk monster.
Right.
So I
That's
can't
awesome.
wait to read. I got so many books. I got a pile of books over there, Krista, stacked. I have not
Yeah.
opened yet or read.
I get it.
And,
My collection is growing too. I got 2 this past weekend. So yeah, I get it.
I mean, God, and I
Mhm.
love to read, but man, I'm so it's where do you find time, right? It's where you, but you well,
Right.
you gotta make. I'm gonna make time for that book amongst other books that I've gotten. So
Yeah.
thanks to William Lunsford, thanks to Susie B, and thank you to each and every single one of you for joining
Absolutely.
us today in chats. Don't
Most
forget the super
definitely.
chats open. And Krista, you're getting close to 1,000. You're
I
getting
know.
Krista.
We are. Thank you to uh, uh, Cam Buckner. I mean, that really, he really helped us out a lot. And I appreciate that. I appreciate all you guys. I mean, all of you guys have helped to push us. And, you know, Tex, you, and, Cam's help, DA and his crew. So we definitely appreciate all of you guys.
Well, and I have to give a shout out to Kevin Claw. Rob, your bandana is off center. Yeah, well, I can't be perfect all the time, Kevin.
Right?
You know, but thanks for noticing.
That's
Thanks for
funny.
noticing. You know, you were so you guys were at the Alabama Bigfoot
We
conference,
were.
and you guys prior to the conference, you did a paranormal investigation,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe it was a business. And I saw you guys actually you did a live show,
Mm-hmm.
and I've seen a lot of creepy things. I saw shadows in there. In fact, a lot of people in
Yeah.
chat probably saw that. Since this is the afternoon show, maybe a lot of people did not see it. Why
Yeah.
don't you get into that to start the show a little bit about
So
what was going on there? Yeah.
the location had never been investigated, and the owners are Andrew and Toby, who were awesome. They had some weird things happening there, and so they just kind of wanted to know what was there. So we got there early, and I one of the owners, Toby, he took me around, and there's 3 floors. There's an upstairs, then there's your main floor, and then there's the basement. And that whole place is crazy active. I don't feel like, when you go to a new location like that, when you take equipment, you kind of have to explain to them how to work things, and they were just really interactive. And then so we went live, and I had Anita sitting next to me, and I believe Toby was sitting next to me while we were live. Brandy and Randy and Tex um, were all throughout the building, and they were having some pretty crazy encounters. And then there was I think it was a can of Febreze that was moved and put on the steps, and the only one who could have done it would have been Tex. However, Brandy and Randy would have heard him do it, so
Yeah.
he would have had to walk all the way up and down, a bunch of steps and stuff. So we know he's in the clear. He didn't do it. Just yeah, they were pretty excited we were there. Anita actually got pinched on Friday night, and then Brandy got pinched on Saturday during the conference. Like they were hanging out with us at the conference.
Got pinched at the conference. Now let's talk
Mhm.
about a little bit whatever. Now we'll get back to your investigation too.
Yeah,
But now, so I'm automatically thinking that does something follow Brandy from the location to the
it's the same
conference
location.
setting?
It was
Oh,
where we
so
had that where the venue was. That was what we investigated. Yeah, it was awesome. And then Brandy and I were sitting there at our table, and where our table was used to be, it was a dime store. The building was a dime store back in the day. And that's
Okay.
where like the soda, the ice cream counter was that they had taken out. And yeah, so she got pinched on the back of her arm.
Wow. Now,
So
when you guys were inside of this location doing your investigation,
mhm.
did you guys get pinched in there as well? Did she get pinched there too? Anita,
No,
you mentioned you got, you
Anita
know,
did.
you know,
Anita did.
I was watching the live show, and I just can help to mention that Anita, I didn't, she wasn't on camera, but she was in the
Mhm.
background next to you guys.
Yeah,
And she was getting a little bit, I could sense that she was getting a little bit, I don't want to say terrified, but a
yeah,
little like scared maybe that, and she had
yeah.
said, "Leave me alone." And then I think you even said, "Hey,
I,
leave her
I
alone" or
did.
something. What
I
was
did.
going on with that? That was pretty crazy.
She had never done a ghost investigation, and so prior to going live, they played some like 50s type music, to kind of get things going, and it did, and Anita was right there, right in the middle of it. So I think it something was drawn to her, something liked her, and she just she wasn't comfortable with that, and then you know new people, they don't know, to tell them like, hey, back up a little bit. And so I did for her.
Yeah, and I got to tell you something. I rewatched that video a couple times because I
Mhm.
love. Here's what I like, the Blondes and Booze podcast. You guys, yeah, they do live interviews, and I love them. They're cool. But when you guys go live in these locations, I mean, I am like, and it's usually at nighttime.
Yeah.
So, and you know how I am with the paranormal in general. It still
Mhm.
kind of creeps me out. So I got
Right.
my lazy boy, and I don't care. It's middle of summer. Well, not quite yet. I put on my big old blanket and I put it on, and I'm like this watching because that stuff for whatever reason it just gets me. And that was so creepy going through there. And didn't you guys experience like was there? I don't know if it was this past show, but somebody had, I don't know the technical term for it, like a voice box thing where you were
Hmm.
picking up people saying, you guys asked a question
Yeah. We had
and
the
it was,
nano
and
cam
you could
running.
hear
Yeah.
things. Yeah. Yeah. What was going on there?
So it's a piece of equipment. It's kind of like a ghost box, but our friend Katie Stafford makes them. And it was his. It sweeps through radio waves and
Mhm.
picks up voices, and they can communicate. And what was really cool it was intelligent responses, and that's what I thought was really cool on that. It wasn't just random things all night. I mean, it was like replying to questions and stuff that I was asking, that chat was asking. So that was cool. That was
Yeah.
really, yeah.
And I do remember because I was sitting in chat and I saw like I don't know, I think it was Brandy. She was Brandy in the base. Who was upstairs?
Everybody was kind of switching, but I think Brandy and Randy were upstairs. Tex was in the basement. He went down there for quite a little while by himself.
And then I had seen a shadow. I
Hmm.
think when Brandy, it was to her right on a wall, and then
Yeah,
I put in chat, "Hey, I saw a
I
shadow."
remember that. Yeah.
So then Brandy said, "Okay, well, I have to turn. Where was it? Blah blah blah." And I said, "Well,
Hmm.
I don't know wherever you were." She turned around, went back, and then somebody in the chat said, "Oh my God, there is a shadow." And you
Yeah.
can see it. You can see it visibly right on the show, you guys. So go back and check out the Blondes and
Yeah.
Booze for that video. It was
Yeah.
pretty sweet, and there was a legitimate shadow, and it wasn't cast from
Mhm.
you guys because the angles of the lighting,
Yeah.
it should not have cast a shadow.
Yeah. It's I tell you what, that's a crazy location. And we found out a little bit of history actually. There's an old building that's there next to it, and the owners have pictures of the building way back in the day when it was new, and it used to be the gallows, which was interesting because the courthouse was right behind it. So what they used to do is take them into the courthouse, try them. Back in the day, you didn't wait 20 years to get executed if you were found guilty and got sentenced to death. They'd
Right.
take you out in just 2 or 3 days and hang you. And the gallows was right there. He has pictures of it, so that's pretty amazing.
So do you think that then a lot of these, you talk about paranormal investigations, and oftentimes this where people were executed back in the 1800s, the 1900s. And do you think that a lot of these spirits, we'll call them spirits,
Hmm.
do you think that they can't escape the area that they were executed, and maybe they're wrongly executed? You remember
Right.
about the Salem witch trials?
Hmm.
All
Yep.
of these
Yeah.
alleged witches
Yep. Yep.
executed, and that
Oh,
place
yeah.
is haunted from their bodies cannot cross
Sure.
over.
Yeah. For some reason, it varies why people don't cross over. I really don't know. But, there's just there was a lot of, oh, how do you put it? How do I put it nicely? Back in the day, back in the 50s and early 60s, the whites were not so nice to the black people. So there was a lot of that as well there. So a lot of that's they've got pictures of sit-ins and things like that. That these people were treated awful. So there's different bathroom. There was different bathrooms for them, and all of that's still in this building. So it's it's holding on to all of that negativity. That went through that building.
Do you think that these people that aren't crossed over, do you
Hmm.
think that's like, you and Brandy are legitimate investigators?
Hmm.
And do you think when you're doing an investigation that some of these ghosts or spirits, I should say, are do you I mean, some of them are probably more welcoming than others. Do you think some
Hmm.
want to be left alone, or do you
Oh
think that
yeah.
they welcome life, positive life energy?
I think a lot of them want to be left alone, and sometimes some of these houses, people don't have activity and still maybe until they start remodeling or things like that, because these people live there. That's all they know, and you're disrupting their house. You're the intruder as they see it. So yeah.
It kind of bugs me that these people say that, they go looking for Bigfoot or whatever.
Hmm.
And a lot of these people, they comment how, yeah, we're going in our forests.
Yeah.
And people say, "Uh, our forest." Well, let me tell you something, Charlie. It's not our forest, right?
Nope. I agree. I
It's like
agree.
me walking in it's like I'm a
Mhm.
stranger. You don't know me. And I walk in your front door and sit down,
Yeah.
make a bowl of popcorn and watch TV.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's definitely not our forest. We both know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it just gets me, what are they doing in our forest? What are these cryptids? What are these ghosts doing in our
Mhm.
forest, scaring the
Yeah,
daylights out of everybody?
yeah. We're the intruders.
Yeah, for sure. We're infringing on, their ground.
Absolutely.
In some cases, sacred ground.
Yeah.
So, what else about this investigation? Was there anything that you drew out of this that gave you the chills or the creeps? I know you're used to it. Me, I'd be like, if I was there, I would have been like grabbing the back of your shirt, hanging on.
Mhm.
Well, I'm not that bad, you guys. I'm just, being a little, but
Right.
but was there anything out of this place that you thought was it was all pretty positive then
Yeah,
when you got
there's
out?
nothing negative. There's no demonic or even anything like that. And even as far as the pinches, they it it's nothing negative. So they were just trying to get Anita's attention or Brandy's attention, and that's the way that they know to do it. That's all there is to it. There was absolutely nothing negative. However, I will say I'm excited to go back next year and investigate it again because we were invited back to do it again. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's just an interesting. It's a beautiful building. They do weddings and things like that in there, and even in the bathrooms. I got to tell you, so you go through this glass door to go to the bathrooms, and it's a really nice area that they have set up. And then there's a door for the men's and a door for the women's. I was in the bathroom and I came out of the stall. There was two stalls in there. I came out of the stall. I was washing my hands, and the stall next to me just like whoop, real quick opened up. Like I'm like, holy shit! Sorry, holy smokes! And
that's right.
I was like, well, hello, and I walked out, and it was funny. Greg Ogles, he was coming out of the men's bathroom. I was like, hey, you got to come in here. Come in the women's bathroom. He probably thought I was some freak, but I drug him in there, and you know, you could feel the energy in there. It was pretty crazy. So when I went back in the bathrooms after that, I was like, hey, whoever's in here has got to go. This is a private spot. So,
You know, when you talk about you feel the energy, can you tell a difference though? Because I know you've done numerous investigations. Can you tell the difference between a negative energy and positive energy when you're out there?
yes. Yep. It's ghost wise, yes. It's just, you know, it's that feeling you get. You can tell your body will tell you anybody when they're in danger. So you pay attention to your body. And same thing with ghost hunting, and picked up on nothing negative there. Now the demonic, however, that's a whole different thing. Whenever I'm around something that's demonic, I get dizzy and feel like I'm gonna pass out. That's a whole other ball game.
Wow. You know,
Yeah.
you got to talk a little bit about that then, because again,
Yeah.
demonic, you know, again, these subjects I'm interested in very much so because they are, I mean,
Yeah.
how can you not? I mean, what we all do, people listening in chat or
Hmm.
sitting in chat listening, everybody's into all these things. It's not just all cryptids.
Right.
We're interested in all these things. And that, yeah, for whatever reason, I would watch on Art Bell, the Father Malachi Martin. He was a Roman Catholic priest,
Hmm.
and his my primary role that he said was given to him by God,
Yeah.
Jesus,
Yeah.
was to extract demons from
Hmm.
possessed souls, possessed bodies, possessed,
Hmm.
and he did over 1,000 exorcisms.
Yeah.
Art Bell's got it. It's 12. There's different 12 different shows on this. I've
Yeah.
listened to all 12, and I sit there again late at night, covered up in the blankets, but I can't turn it off
Yeah.
because it's just so fascinating what
Hmm.
these people have gone through.
Yeah. It is,
And
and it's awful what these people go through.
you know, and you've encountered something demonic. I mean, you're a
Mhm.
demonologist, right?
I don't consider
Are
myself a demonologist. I
you,
consider
you study
myself
it?
specialist. Yeah, I've studied it. You know, I'm not the one that performs an exorcism. I've
Well,
been there,
okay.
I've helped with it, but yeah.
So where have you been where you felt the presence of evil? If you got a story,
Um,
because
Several. I've got a couple. One was at a private residence in Salina, Kansas. That was true evil, man. I'll tell you, there's nothing. Um, that was scary. That was a bad one. And then actually here just the beginning of this year, Brandy and I went to Mineral Springs in Alton, Missouri,
really,
and in the basement. Yeah, you got to walk like 5 flights down in the ground. And oh my God, I grabbed Brandy real quick because I got dizzy. And I told her, I was like, Brandy, there is a demonic entity here. I am dizzy. You got to hold on to me. And she did. We were down there for probably 45 minutes. And I wasn't saying anything because I don't engage with the demonic. You know, you do that, you're opening yourself up, you know. So I just kind of stood there and watched everybody else. And Brandy put some meters and stuff out. But yeah, that was a true demonic entity there too.
mm,
Yeah. So they're demons are out there. They are few and far between. You know, they look for people who, number one, invited in, be it, you know, you buy an antique, bring it
yeah,
home,
well,
and
I'm
something attached, and it could be a demonic entity like Annabelle, the doll, you know?
yeah, you know, I do believe in that because I told a story. You know what story it is? It's like I just
Mhm.
can't believe these things. Because you know, I used to collect antiques way back years ago when I was married. Me and my wife would
Yeah,
travel by all these antiques. We get them from thrift stores, antique shops, garage sales. I mean, and we had a room dedicated with curio cabinets and all these cool findings, and they were cool findings. It was all sorts of weird stuff.
yeah.
And then I told you, and a lot of people maybe in chat might have
Mhm.
heard or might not have heard that I started seeing like shadows in darkness.
Yeah.
Now, this is what really creeped me out is I saw shadows in the dark. If you, it just
Mhm.
superimposed the dark,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
and and for a while there, I thought, what's going on with me, right? And I
Mhm.
didn't even want to tell the wife because I don't know. I didn't. But one day I was really freaked out, and I said her name was Rachel. I go, Rachel, I got to tell you something. What? What? I said, well, I'm not crazy, but I'm seeing these shadows.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Robbie. I've been seeing it too. I just didn't want to
Mhm.
tell you because I didn't want you to think I was going nuts.
Right.
So, and this is back whenever it was, and and this is well before I loved throughout my whole life. Don't get me wrong, I liked the paranormal. I knew
Sure.
about Bigfoot, but I never investigated any of these things. Way before podcasts were even out and
Mhm.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we got a hold of somebody that was I can't even tell you what it was. I think like a medium came to our house,
Yeah.
came in, and the whole house was cool until they got to the room where all the curio
Mhm.
cabinet room where all of these
Yeah.
strange artifacts we collected were, and she felt cold, and she said, "There's a presence here in this room."
Mhm.
And Rachel and I looked at each other like, "What in the world are you talking about?" And now we're
Right.
scared. I mean, I'm scared. The
Yeah.
wife, she is like scared.
Sure.
I said, "Yeah, where'd you guys get this?" And we said, "All over the United States. I mean, all over Michigan
Right.
and all of our travels,
Yeah.
and it's coming from this room." So I boxed everything up, took it out, put it all. I didn't throw the stuff out, but I
Mhm.
put it in the garage.
Yeah.
And this was like in the winter time. So I let it sit till spring. Now I will say this: when I boxed up all of these things, the shadows went away. And also during this entire experience, when we're seeing these shadows, it seems like there was always something negative going on.
Mhm.
My wife was having problems with work. It seemed like there was people were just passing away that
Right.
were not old people, that were friends
Sure.
of ours from high school that happened to pass, and problems at work. We had a tree branch fall on our house, and we had to get a new roof. So a lot of it was just a time. There was a 3 or 4 month stretch of negativity.
Yeah.
So I will say this, and even I felt that myself, always like gloomy. I felt gloomy,
Mhm.
depressed. So
Yeah.
does she. S- About a couple weeks after taking this stuff out, though, I felt positive vibes, positive energy.
Mhm.
So and everything seemed to, and life was good. The job for the
Yeah.
wife, for Rachel, went back, and everything was fine and dandy until the spring. That's following spring when I go in. I'm cleaning out the garage. It's shadow. It's dark and kind of in the garage. It was daytime, but the way the garage was positioned, it's dark in the garage. Then I
Right.
started seeing. Guess what I seen? Right where I put all these
Mhm.
artifacts, shadows. And I
Right.
and I just my stomach, the pit in my there was a pit in my stomach that just dropped. Now I know this is now true. This would I mean,
Mhm.
I kind of thought it was cool that life was getting back to normal and we got rid of this stuff, but I still wasn't a full believer
Right.
until 6 months later. I go in the garage and I see these things where I put the artifacts.
Yep.
So I call out Rachel. You got to get your ass out here. What are you
Yeah.
talking about? So about she's there for 10 minutes. Nothing is happening. I'm like,
Mhm.
figures. Then all of a sudden, she's ready to go in the house. All of a sudden, then she sees it. And then she
Mhm.
felt just a pit was in her stomach. So I got all this stuff. She, man, throw that stuff out, burn it, whatever. I said, I ain't burning it in our backyard.
Oh,
I'd get,
no
I'm
burn.
not, I
Yeah.
believe now this is something weird. So I
Mhm.
loaded up everything. There was a dump where I live. There was a local dump where people you could drop your trash and
Yeah.
it would be taken out, taken away. So I loaded up my pickup truck with all this stuff and I just got rid of it and
There you go.
that was that. So back then, and I was in my 20s back then, and ever since then I knew that these things existed, and that's
Yeah.
what we talk about, getting these attachments and
Mhm.
now and so and see that's what scares me because I remember, and I told you this before, not too long, maybe last year, I would start watching this weird demon stuff on TV, and they would start chanting on TV. It's a movie, whatever it is,
Right.
some B movie that I found on YouTube. Maybe it's probably
Right.
like something dumb on YouTube. Get those $1.99 B
Yeah.
movies.
Yep.
And Jessica Jones was telling me, man, if you hear chanting on it, you can get that projector. You're talking about projections they can
Yep.
project that through radio sound waves.
Absolutely. She is correct. Yes.
And you can't. If you don't know what they're saying, they're chanting. You don't know what that is.
Right.
Turn
Yeah.
it off.
Yeah.
Because I used to watch these things, and remember I had those experiences with
Mhm.
the shit running. Yeah, you started me on the swear cuss word. Swarming around my chair.
Yeah.
So hey, I believe that's real. I believe in God, therefore I believe in the
Yep.
devil. So therefore demons exist in my mind. So I don't do that stuff no more. I
Right.
will investigate it with you and Brandy down the road, but
Mhm.
I just don't freely watch this stuff at nighttime. During
Right.
the day, and I even told Jessica, what about during the day? It don't matter if it's day or
It
night.
doesn't matter. They don't know time. It means nothing to them. And then that's the thing, these demonic entities, they wait, to be invited in. And so, with the items, haunted items, it could be, they'll catch you when you're at your lowest. They'll torment you until, or they'll torment your children or your pets. And then you'll be like, leave, whoever alone and come after me. Well, you just invited them. There's so many different ways to invite them. But
And
you don't realize, and you never get personal. That's why when I do investigations, I do not get personal with any ghost, be it ghost, anything negative, positive, any of it. You just don't know.
Yep. Hi, Lori. Thanks for joining. I don't like watching those movies, and I turn the volume down if
Mhm.
something comes on. Yesterday, they were showing a rapper on YouTube that had a demon in him. He was using that demonic voice, um, well, whatever. Thanks, Lori. Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
I don't do that no more.
Yep. And also, too, another thing is you don't want to say their names of a demonic entity, because I feel like even if you're watching that on TV and someone says it, they can hear that. It's like, okay, that came from Krista's house, or whatever. That's
Susie B, do like poltergeist, throw your TV outside.
amen, Susie.
Yeah, well, Susie, I'd have to take my TV
Yeah.
off of the wall here, and I don't
Yeah.
want to buy a new. But I tell you what, Susie, and everyone listening, ever since I had that happen to me like 2 times, and the third time was something totally different,
Mhm.
where I
Yeah.
walked out of my body and I
Yeah.
saw myself in back of me. That
Right.
was, but that was me.
Scary stuff.
I was conjuring that myself.
Yeah.
I was reading some book on how to astral project. So I'm sitting in my chair and I was meditating and
Yeah.
I was actually trying to leave my body. Yeah, I'm weird, you guys.
Yeah.
And I tried it for weeks on weeks. So I'm listening to different
Hmm.
meditations. I'm reading these things. And then one night, again at night, I felt really strange and I started crawling. I got out of my recliner and I started crawling down the hallway.
Right.
But I'm thinking I'm having sleep paralysis because I've had bouts with sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
But the strange thing is, and I know I'm awake. I heard the boss calling. I
But
I was crawling. Why the hell am I on all fours crawling down the hallway? Now that's that same hallway that I had the mist come down.
mhm.
But for whatever reason, I looked over my back shoulder and my physical being is sitting in the chair,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
So I started investigating this and then I snapped out of it. But when I snapped out of it, I'm not crawling, I'm in the chair.
Right.
So then I started calling some people and I know, and they said, "What were you doing?" Then I went through. I said, "I was trying to astral
Mhm.
project." What are you nuts? I was person I'm talking to. I said, "Well,
Right.
people do it all the time."
Right. But they
Yeah,
have
but
dreams.
if you don't know what you're doing,
Don't do it.
don't do it.
Right.
So if the guy said that I kind of I was in a different realm. I
Yeah.
almost completed it because you don't want to do that because you don't know where you're going. You
No,
could
you
be
don't.
going to some evil realm. You could be going into the light,
Right.
the darkness. You just don't
Right.
know.
Yeah. I think people, any of that type of stuff, I think you need to, get with someone who does know what they're doing. If it's something you really want to do, you need the right training to do it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Well, you do, and I'm interested in that though because you
Yeah.
hear positives and negatives, and
Right.
Kevin says, I like to leave my body, but I can't afford the gas.
Amen, Kevin.
So.
Yeah, there's just a lot of crazy stuff out there, man. I'm telling you, I've witnessed so much, and yeah, speaking of the haunted items, I actually have a really good friend, and I'm not going to say her name, but
Yeah.
she recently, just here a few weeks ago, bought a haunted doll, knowing it was haunted, and has brought it home. And she has done some ghost box sessions and stuff like that with it, and with the K2. And so far, her encounters have all been positive. So I mean, it just you never know what's attached. She happened to get the right one that has something positive. Where people, as yourself, yours was kind of negative.
Yeah, well, and Susie, this is a great question because that's really cool, Rob. Did you come back to your body with an extra sense?
Yeah.
Well, I do have to say this. My sightings are so heightened, and I don't want to be redundant about certain things because I had great senses. I could sum up people at 10 years old if they were good or bad.
Yeah.
I picked out a serial killer at 10 that killed, well, not a serial killer. I picked out a kid really quickly. I knew was evil.
Yeah.
At 10 years old, I told my mom and dad, this kid is evil. I get back from college at 22 and he murdered his grandmother. I didn't pick that he was going to murder his grandmother, but I picked that it was evil.
Yeah.
I could go to a gas station right now, stand in line, look at a person, make eye contact, and I can tell you in a minute if they're good or bad, or if they have bad intentions. I just know
you're a knower. You are a
I've
knower.
been able to do this ever since a kid.
Yep.
And now, after my Bigfoot encounter, they've been heightened. After the sleep paralysis, they've been heightened. After this possible astral projection that I tried to do, they've been heightened. I mean, I'm very sensitive to a lot of things. I know people that are good or bad. I can tell you if I apply for a job, if I'm going to get it or not without having an interview.
Yeah.
Now, I haven't done that in a couple of years because I'm doing this. But,
right.
I just always had the uncanny. I could tell my mom about her sisters.
Yeah.
I could tell my mom about her sisters that, Mom, I think that Aunt Karen is at the casino. Okay. And I just said this to my mom because my Aunt Karen lives like 3 hours away and we have the MGM Grand down here in Detroit.
Yeah.
And I told my mom, I said, Mom, Aunt Karen, I think is at the casino because my mom was just mentioning about how she hasn't seen my Aunt Karen.
There you go.
And I had told her, I think she's at the MGM. Krista, why did I say this? There was not it just popped in my head.
Right.
My mom says,
you are clairvoyant. You are clairvoyant.
My mom says, you think so? I go, I just got this feeling. Do you know that my mom did not call Aunt Karen, but you know that she came over my mom's house like 4 hours later and said, hey, Penny, my mom's Penny, I was just at the MGM and won $1,000.
Wow.
My mom told my mom, hey, Robbie, guess what? How did you know Aunt Karen did you talk to Aunt Karen? You guys pulling a game with me?
Right.
What are you talking about? She's at the house right now.
Wow.
I'm like, that same day.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, so to answer Susie's question, starting as a youngster, I had senses, and as I experienced all these different things, they are heightened, and I can't and I don't have to, and it just comes in my brain. I don't think about nothing. It just pops in my brain.
Yeah, that's how it works. You don't think. It's the first thing that comes to your head, to your mind. You need to watch tonight's show. We have Brendaline Johnson, and the show tonight is on spiritual awakening. A good one for you to watch.
And even Krista, like last year, I was supposed to go to Dave Scott's party, his first one in Vegas.
Right.
And last year I said, man, and I already bought for both back to back. I purchased my tickets for both of these shows in Vegas, right? Last year, well, I couldn't make it because my cousin committed suicide, overdose on purpose. It was on purpose. I kind of knew something was going to happen. So I put the insurance prior to the purchase. I bought that insurance. So last year I didn't go, but I got like 80% of my money back.
Sure.
This year I said, man, I hope something doesn't happen to these. So I missed Dave's thing in Vegas again.
Did you have a gut feeling though?
And you know, I had a gut feeling, but I bought my tickets. I didn't even buy
Yep.
the insurance. I went against my better judgment. And guess what happened?
Right.
I blew out my knee
You
and
did.
missed that.
Like
So,
the day before you were going to leave.
yes, the day
Yeah.
before I was going to leave.
Yeah.
So, yes, I do. I don't know where it comes from. I'm not scared of it. I welcome it. But, you know, it is something. It's just something. Yeah.
It is.
Again,
It
you
is.
know, and,
Yeah.
and
You know,
I'm
I can
glad it.
help you with that off the show.
Yeah, no, we gotta
Mhm.
investigate that because I
Yep.
like to open up this. I like to expand these abilities a little more.
Yeah, we can talk off the show. I used to teach it.
Oh wow, okay,
Yep. So anyway, I don't do that anymore, but I will help you off camera.
okay.
Mhm.
So we got well, we still got a few minutes before we have to go to break. Did you when did you find that you had well, I don't know. When did you find that you could do more than the average person? As a young girl or
Well, at the time I didn't realize, but now when I look back, I understand. Like when I was a kid laying in my bed, and this is stupid. You know, when you're 5, 6 years old, I
yeah.
had one of those, you know, it was a single bed, but it was one of the old canopy beds back in the 70s, you know.
Hmm.
And I would lay in the middle of it because I would see people would come in my room. I called them monsters. And I would lay in the middle of my bed because I thought they couldn't reach me from either side. I mean, mind of a little kid. And then I used to ask my mom not to go to bed until I was asleep. So that's, you know, I look back now, I'm like, wow, you know. And then when I was in high school, I was walking, it was passing period, and I was walking with a friend of mine, and I seen an old man just as plain as you and me in the school, walked right past us, and I made the comment to her, and she looked at me like I was crazy. She's like, there's nobody there. You know, who are you talking about? And
Hmm.
so I just kind of brushed it off. I thought that was weird. I swore I saw him. And so it wasn't actually until I was at the lowest point in my life, I can honestly say that. And my grandma had passed, had just passed. And yeah, weird things started happening. I started hearing my name and it just became more and more. And yeah, and that was 11, 12 years ago.
Wow, you know, and Joe Monk, if you, I don't know how long you've been watching Joe, but earlier I had made mention, yeah, I do hide under the covers,
Yeah.
you know.
Maybe if I was a kid, I should have hid under the covers,
Yeah.
but
Well, I tell you what, because when I was a kid, I saw ghosts as a little kid, you know, on the walls in my bedroom with my
mhm.
brother. I saw
Yeah.
ghosts as clear as day on the back wall, and I would wake up my brother. I said, "Hey, man," I see it, okay. And I always tell people, it looked like the Scooby Doo ghost. It looked like, frankly, I'll be honest with
Mhm.
everybody, it looked like a sheet over a human body with the head, but in the black, you know,
Yeah.
eyes, right? So yeah, it looks like a cartoon, really. And I always equated
Mhm.
that with Scooby Doo, so I thought I'm dreaming. But I'm
Right.
up and I wake up my brother, and we're both up, and I still see this. And I say, "Hey,
Mhm.
Dave, man, you see that?" He goes, "What the
Right.
hell? What are you talking about?" Probably didn't say hell. We were probably 8 or 9. So I don't think we swore back
Right.
then. What are you talking about, Rob? I go, you know, blah 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 blah. A ghost. So he goes, and then of course now he's my younger brother. Not, you know, we're both
Mhm.
little. Now he's, you know,
Yeah.
starts getting scared, starts crying. It's all my, you know. Then all of a sudden, mom and dad wake up and they come in the room. There's no ghosts or nothing.
Yeah.
But you know, which is crazy because I that happened to me a lot.
Mhm.
And back referring back to when I got married, but then it faded away. Didn't have no ghosts
Yeah.
encounters. When I got married, do you know that one night in the bedroom sleeping, I wake up and I look on the back wall and I see that same ghost that I saw when I was like 5 or 6 sitting on the wall
Mhm.
dancing
Yeah.
about, you know.
Yeah.
And I wake up the wife, Rachel.
Yeah.
Look, you see that? Looks at, and this is before. I, I don't know if we had the trinkets in the house during this time. I can't tell you. I don't recall. And she looks. I go, look at the wall. I don't see nothing.
Mhm.
And I can still see this.
Yeah.
And it was not a fright. It was that white sheet looking
Mhm.
ghost that I remember as 5 or 6. I said, you don't see that? And we are up.
Yeah.
She goes, man, you have too much to drink today. I said, I didn't even drink nothing today. No, it's like 1:30 in the morning.
Right.
So she goes, well, whatever. She rolls over, don't give a crap, goes back to bed. I get up. I can't sleep the rest of the night.
Right.
And, and I finally enter the room. I don't see nothing. I go back to sleep. Now, whether I slept, I don't even remember now, But that was some scary. I mean, kind of scary. It don't have to look like a monster to scare you. Anything
No.
that's weird is
Right.
kind of scary.
Right. And here's the thing too. You said you went for years and nothing. And same as myself. I feel like that you will be spiritually awoke when you're ready mentally. I mean, how do I say this? I did not lead, the best life as a teenager and in my early 20s, and
Yeah, that's a whole nother show for me.
I wasn't mentally there, where I could deal with it. It took me being at the lowest point in my life when a light bulb went off, and it's like, wow, and so everything changes. And I think that happens to everybody. It's when you are ready, then it hits you.
Yeah, and it's strange. I've got so many crazy things. Yeah, and again, from a kid, then I had the Bigfoot, and then really started back when I was married. Prior to being married, then seeing the stuff in the house, then seeing the ghost, and then seeing the Bigfoot, and then as Susie said earlier, my senses are aware. Or heightened. We got to come up on the 5-minute break. We are streaming on Bigfoot Rob's channel, Krista's channel, Blondes and Booze, and Texas channel for those. If you want to jump back and forth, leave some likes, help support us. The super chat is, of course, open. And we're going to come back because my neighbor is telling me about something that he's seeing at my creek, which is very creepy. And I'm going to go check it out.
That's awesome.
Maybe this weekend. So you guys stay tuned for that because it's pretty wild. And something close to my house, 5 minutes away or less. So with that being said, I'm going to take us to the 5-minute break. Thanks to each and every single one of you for watching. BMR and Krista, we'll be back in 5.
Yep.
Four minutes to go, folks. 4 minutes. Three minutes. We're almost there. 2-minute warning, guys. 2-minute warning. One minute. 1 minute.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Brunch with Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. I, of course, am BMR. I'm joined by Krista. And before I get into it here, Mondays is Texas Front Porch. Mondays at 9 o'clock in the East. Tuesdays, Van Buren Variety, 8 in the East. Beyond BMR, 9 o'clock in the East. Jason McLean does something called Mysterious Library on radio, Untold Radio AM. You can find Jason at 10 in the East. Back with Jason for one last time this Wednesday. Thank you, Susie B, for the $4 super chat. Love you, girl. Jason McLean questions everything, 8 o'clock for the last live show that Jason will be performing is on Wednesday. Check out the last show. Jason's not going anywhere. Jason McLean still has his channel. He's dropping 3 or 4 videos a week, and it's just something he wants to go in a little different direction. Jason is still a member of the team. Love Jason. Go check him out. Thursday is Brunch with Bigfoot, Michigan Rob, 1 o'clock in the East. Thursday night, the Blondes, the Booze, the Paranormal Podcast. 9 o'clock Thursdays. Fridays, more woo with the Booze. Friday, you get Krista and Brandy. Friday nights, 9 in the East as well. Saturday is Tex, Infamous Minds, him and Danielle Diva. If you're into true crime, that's the place to be. Saturday at 3 p.m. Jessica Jones, Spaced Out Radio. Saturday and Sunday, 10 o'clock in the East. Check out Jessica. Of course, she is the Cryptid Huntress. Also has a YouTube channel. Check her out. Also, quick announcement. Brandy, Krista, Brandy, the Blondes, the Booze, Paranormal Podcast. Just seeing a nice little spike in their subscribers. They're getting close to 1,000. So if you're not a subscriber, subscribe. The Blondes, the Booze, the Paranormal Podcast. Subscribe to Bigfoot Michigan Rob on YouTube. Subscribe to Texas Front Porch on YouTube. This show is streamed on all 3 platforms. So show the love. We appreciate y'all. And I'm going to bring up Krista.
Hey.
Hello.
I'm here.
Yeah. I put that out for you guys because you guys are seeing a nice spike. You guys do a great job, as always, with your investigations, your live shows. We're glad to have you part of our illustrious group.
We are glad that you guys invited us to join the team. We appreciate it. And you said something about Jason McLean. He's actually going to be co-hosting tomorrow night's Blondes and Booze with Brandy, so that'll be a cool one.
Yeah, Jason, wealth of knowledge. And again, Jason's not going anywhere. He's just the live streams Wednesday. Next Wednesday's the last one, but he will be doing other things on his channel. He is still a part of our group.
Yep.
He's again, it's just a way, little format changes all.
Yeah.
We're working on a new show to fill the time slot. I'm not going to give any details, but stay tuned, for that. You'll get that
Yep.
throughout the week.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna change gears just a little bit because I got to tell you, for those that are just coming in now, I mentioned at the beginning of the show that I don't tell everybody in the neighborhood my business. I don't. A lot of people don't know that I had owned a bar and I sold it. People say, hey, Rob, you work from home. Your truck is, it's not like you don't have a 9 to 5. So my neighbor finally asked me this the other day. I'm like, and my neighbor's kind of cool. He's been over a couple times. I said, no, I do a podcast now, this and that. And so I told him about the bar. Oh, yeah, I was there a few times. That's pretty cool. It's too bad it's out of business. I'm sorry to hear that. I said, well, I was lucky. I sold it prior to it going out of business. I sold my bar right before COVID, right?
Right.
So I kind of, again, was that a premonition, Krista?
I was just thinking that. I'm like, something you knew, Rob.
It's weird because I sold my bar Thanksgiving of 2020. COVID hit in March. That's that year. And the guy I sold it to, which I feel so bad for. In fact, I'm not a political guy. I don't bring that into the show.
Sure.
In the state of Michigan, during the heightened pandemic, 3,000 businesses. Now, when I say businesses, everybody, bars and restaurants by people like myself, they went under. They went out of business.
Missouri too. I'm sure it was.
And that was terrible. The guy, I feel so bad for the guy that I sold it to, not knowing this was going to happen. As I said,
right.
He went out of business, and I go past my old bar, and it number one, my heart goes out to the man I sold it to.
Sure.
There was no refund involved. Business is business.
Right.
But now I look at the beautiful bar that I owned. The parking lot is filled with 5-foot weeds.
Sad, isn't it?
It's been 2020, it's 2023. The building, I can't go past it, Krista, because again,
sure.
For me personally, I was there 13 years, and to see what I owned, that I love, that I work 7 days a weekend, 60, 70, 80 hours a week, is just this eyesore now if you drive past it.
Sure. And that's hard to see. I get it. That's hard to see.
I can't tell you how sad it is. If I have to drive, because for me, the place was not close to where I live. And a lot of places that I go to, I drive by it. I take an alternate route today because I take an alternate route today because every time I see it, I want to shed a tear.
Yeah.
Just how dilapidated and crappy it looks.
Wow.
I almost want to rebuy it and just refurbish it. But I can't afford it now. I mean, that money's put away for when I retire.
Sure.
But
well, maybe somebody will and turn it into something good again,
I'm feeling sad just thinking about this. I don't know why I even brought this up, but talking about my neighbor, how you must work from home. I'm like, yeah, I do. But it's like, again, it's sad. It's sad for me. And again, so anyways, I'm sorry. It's just a sad story. So anyways, so my neighbor comes over and we have a creek. For those who don't know, where I live in my subdivision, there is a creek. Now, part of this creek, you guys, wraps around an area there's kids we call Dead Man's Bridge. And they named it Dead Man's Bridge back in the 1960s because it's a very steep curve at this creek. And a young couple in their early teens, old enough to drive, it was late at night. They were unfamiliar with the neighborhood, and they drove right over the creek. They over the sharp bend that's at the end of the road. The guy was going like 70 miles an hour for one. He goes straight through that bend, and his vehicle goes airborne over this creek, and there's a bridge right at the base of the creek, and he had a convertible, mind you. Well, they hit the girl and the guy, the couple. They hit the bottom of the creek. He flies out of the vehicle, Krista. The
Oh, my.
girl, I guess, had a seatbelt on, which for me, that's hard to believe because no one wore seatbelts in the 60s, I don't
Right.
think.
No.
But her head hit the bridge and was decapitated.
Oh, my gosh.
So they call it Dead Man's Bridge. And so this place is not too far from me. This is like 5 minutes from me.
Mm-hmm.
Walking. You can drive there in 2 minutes. So throughout the years, there was the apparent, and there's a trail that goes through here, cuts through here now, through there now. And people have allegedly seen a ghost of a decapitated woman that haunts this area. At the age of 18, me and my buddy Brian, we heard about these stories, and in the 60s, we weren't even born yet. So, but when we found the stories, we were like in high school, and we got pretty creeped out over there. We've seen some weird, even back, we saw what we thought were ghosts.
Right.
So I'm laying this out for you guys. So this creek wraps around my subdivision and it leads to the Detroit River.
Mm-hmm.
So again, back to the story about my neighbor coming over. And I tell him, yeah, what I do. I say, I got a podcast. Here's, Bigfoot Mystery Rouse, my channel. Oh, really? Well, he says, man, I'm into Bigfoot and all that stuff. I said, oh, really? Oh, cool then. Now I don't feel like a dork, because everyone you tell you're a Bigfoot guy, they're like, oh, well, whatever.
Right. You were brave telling your neighbor.
Yeah, my neighbor, yeah, starting story. Yeah, it was, and he's a gossiper too. This guy, he gives me the dirt on all the neighbors.
Right.
So his name's Nick. Hey, Nick, if you're listening. So he goes on to tell me sometime a little while ago, not within the last several weeks. He owns a market about 2 hours from here, and a lot of his clients, they like carp. Again, carp to me, as a kid, I used to catch carp out of the Detroit River. It's a nasty, ugly looking fish.
That's what I heard, that
yeah,
people around here don't eat carp.
But carp and sucker, I mean, two of the most ugly, god awful fish. Right now, thinking about what they look like, because I've caught them, it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
So he spears them because these carp and sucker run through the creek. He spears them because he sells them back fillets them, sells them at a shop. He says he's got a little niche. There's a lot of people that buy it from him. He's got a market of maybe like 50 people. They love it. I'm like, okay, whatever. So he's down doing his spearing. And then he came across, he said he's walking through the creek, and he says, man, Rob, I came across these prints.
Was this at daylight?
This is daylight. Yeah, okay. This is daylight. He had two different experiences, but he's doing this, but he says, wow. He's showing the picture, and he saw a big paw. Now, here where I live, we've got mostly wild just cats. We don't have lynx I live in the city, in a subdivision.
Right.
And now the woods do surround the creek, but the biggest predatory animal we have here would be maybe these wild cats. There's no foxes around here. Right. I mean, there's nothing, there are wild dogs, unfortunately, that I've come across. But these prints, he showed me this print, and he for scale, he smokes. He put down a cigarette lighter next to this paw track, and it was at least 3 lighters long.
Wow.
And it was probably 2 lighters wide, because he showed me a couple of different pictures. And it was a print in the mud. And he thought, what could this be? So he asked me, well, since you're a Bigfoot guy or whatever, and now we're talking, what do you think this is? I said, man, I've never seen anything like that around here. I said, number one, it's big like a panther,
Did you see the picture?
Yeah, he showed me. He showed me the picture on his phone. He snapped it off.
Wow.
And I asked him, he said, look, man, if I do a show, I want to put it on the show. He goes, well, I don't want to be, anonymous. I said, well, I'm not
Sure.
going to say who you are.
Right.
Well, I said, look, I'm going to get that picture because trust me, I'll
That was
invite him
very
over. I'll have a barbecue. Feed him a couple beers. I'll have him share me the picture.
There you go.
I can work. It's magic. I owned a bar. I know how to get stuff out of it. Beer is a truth serum. If people did not know that, so I'm going, yeah, that is unusual. So
I'm looking at. I have a lighter sitting here, and it's about I would say 2 inches. So you're looking at. You said it's 3 lighter.
yeah, it was about 3.
It's probably about 6 inches.
Yeah, big and wide, and it was like two
Yeah.
layers wide, so it was very big. And I said,
Yeah.
man, and I'm thinking to myself, is this guy, pulling my leg or whatever? So, anyways, I said, wow, that's very interesting. So we leave it at that. A week later, he comes. I'm talking to him again, and he says, man, I think I found what this thing was down by the creek.
Mm-hmm.
He's back down, spearing for carp and sucker in another location further upstream. And he sees, he doesn't know what it is. He says it's about a good 50 yards ahead of him, but he sees. Now, you got to imagine, everybody, he's down. This creek it's like a ditch. It's maybe 12 foot wide in diameter and wide.
Sure.
And you're down like 10 feet. And at the bottom, there's about a foot and a half, maybe in some spots 6 inches of water, and he's wearing waders and he's trudging through the water. So you're down. If you're driving, if you're walking by, you can't see anybody in there unless you go right up to the creek's edge.
Right.
And he says about 50 feet away, he sees this thing kind of walking on the edge, and he's looking at this thing. Of course, now he don't have his camera, he tells me.
Sure.
But it looked like it was big. He said it looked like I've seen it from the ass end.
Mm-hmm.
So, but he sees this animal. It's walking. He goes, man, it had to be about 4 foot tall from the paws. He sees it trudging through. And then he stops. And now when he stops, this thing stops. And then it turned his head around and he says, man, proportionate to the body, he said the body was probably like a typical German Shepherd.
Mm-hmm.
But it was unusually tall. He says like 4 foot tall. But when it turns around, there was a head on this thing, he said, that did not fit the body. It was almost like mongoloid.
Wow.
Unfortunately, hear about the people. This head was huge. It was probably wider than its body, and it turned around and had a long snout. And he goes, it looked like a creepy looking like dog. He didn't say the word wolf, but it looked like a dog, and it had a snout. And then he said, man, I just stopped. It kind of looked, and then the thing all of a sudden darted through the water across to the other side. He said it jumped out of the creek up about 6-7 feet and disappeared back into the tree line. So he says to me, well, I've been watching some of your shows. This is a couple weeks later when he started watching about the Dogman phenomenon. Because you think that was a Dogman. I said, the description you gave me is unlike anything I've ever heard.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, because I'm starting to wonder, because where I live, there are a lot of wild dogs. Okay. And they all hang out at this creek.
Sure.
And like I told you, they all have they appear to have mange and they're just, in fact, we've had animal control is trying to corral these things because we had a pack of coyotes. Actually, I said we have no predators around here, but a pack of coyotes did invade a neighborhood, and they looked like they had mange. Just we have some creepy looking dogs around here, which are not dogmen, by the way.
Right.
I know they're dogs, but they're
Dog.
wild.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, I'm just thinking in my head, I can't tell you for certain what that was. I wish you would have had a picture of it. So he approached. This thing takes off. Now he does get closer. He says, man, I didn't have the camera, but he got in the prints. He found the muddy prints, and those prints, he said, Rob, they were basically the same prints of the picture that he showed me. And I said, so this weekend or when it's nice, I'm gonna go down there with my neighbor and I'll go check this out. I'm not saying it's a Dogman or a cryptid,
No,
but you know what? It sounds like something
you know,
worth checking into.
but I will say it can be, because I have heard of, I don't know if you've ever been to St. Louis or anybody's ever been to St. Louis, but I have heard of a Dogman encounter down by the St. Louis Arch, which is so populated right downtown. So they can be anywhere, I believe. Even your
No,
subdivision.
no, they can't. And I said, yeah, it's a subdivision. But again, if you were to be blindfolded and dropped at the creek, you think you were in the woods.
Yeah.
Because again, the creek is surrounded by a tree line, and the tree
Yeah.
line of the woods in certain sections, some is only like 4 foot wide. I mean,
Mhm.
there's a neighbor's backyard. I
Yeah.
mean, this creek, if I were to leave out of here right now, I could walk to the creek in less than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But this creek it's miles. It empties into the Detroit River.
Yeah.
But there's some
There you
parts of the creek where the wood line does get dense and
Mhm.
50 yards deep
Right.
in some
Right.
locations.
Randy Mahoney just made a comment. He says, I think dogmen have big heads young and grow into their heads as they age. Could be why it looks odd.
Well, yeah, for sure. And gosh, I said, man, I wish you'd had a picture, but then again, that's me. People don't always have,
Yeah.
people always have their phone on them. But when you see something, see,
Mhm.
this is where people don't understand. People always ask, hey, Rob, how come you didn't get a picture of your dog, Bigfoot? Dude, were you there?
Right.
That's the last thing on my mind was taking a damn picture of this thing.
Right.
And I know, Dave Scott he always tells this story about pictures. He saw a beautiful lynx cross the road,
Mhm.
where he lives in British Columbia. Beautiful cat. He says this on the show all the time. Beautiful cat. And he was like, holy cow, I got to take a picture. Now he thinks a couple minutes later, I got to think to take a picture of this thing.
Yeah.
So, of course, he's stumbling for his phone and he's excited. By the time he got his phone, thing was gone anyways,
Yeah.
right?
It's
So, it
they're not
cracks
going
me
to
up when
pose
people.
for you, and they're
Yeah.
not going to stand there and,
So, but I was one of those people saying, "Why didn't you get a picture?" Then I had to relax because that was just my natural
Yeah.
instinct. Why you got no picture? Then I realized we don't get these pictures, and that thing was, if it's something that unusual, I mean, I'm going to sit there and gape at it too. I'm not going to, I
Yeah.
might think about getting a picture a minute later after I'm done
Yeah.
visualizing it and my processing this. So, anyways, long story short, yeah, I don't know what that is. I'm going to go there. Well, maybe not this weekend. Well, I'm going. Me and my
Yeah.
neighbor, when he gets a day off work, we're gonna go. We're gonna go traverse this area because I
Right.
didn't think that stuff was around here.
Right. Right. Yeah. Crazy.
So
Yeah, that's interesting. You'll have to keep us updated on future shows.
here's you start something.
I started several. There's like several I've started
Yeah,
some
we'll check.
comments and stuff
We'll
to
check. But
address.
here, what Nighthawk Strange? You did just
Mhm.
start that, and that's
You did. Yeah.
you can pull that up if you want. That's Nighthawk.
I can put it up there.
He asked me or us or well, have you ever seen a cat being? Rob and Krista. Well, I can say no. What about you,
I'll
Krista?
be there. No. Nope, never have.
Now, when
I
he says cat being night, is that like what are we talking here? A being? Is that like a spirit or something, a dimensional thing, or what? If you want to
or even a cryptid thing, that's the way I took it when the way the
being, yeah,
question is asked, that it's some
yeah,
sort of cryptid type being.
cat being, yeah. No, I personally have not.
I have
Now,
not.
I will. What we do have around here.
What's
And
that?
I do have to snap a picture of these because we have squirrels that I think were bred with rabbits. They're
Yeah.
such the unusual looking things. It's a squirrel
Hmm.
with a rabbit's head with long ears, but it's a total squirrel body, but his
That's
head is a
weird.
rabbit.
That's weird. Well, he says Nighthawk says just like a dog man. But
Okay,
not
yeah,
a cat man. That makes sense. But
yeah,
no,
okay,
I have not. I didn't even know something like that exists.
yeah. I guess that's another one for the book. It's another thing.
Yeah.
William, man, that's another thing for me to check into. Well, I'm
Yep.
definitely going to investigate this because that to me sounds pretty unusual.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
That is different. I've never seen or heard of that.
so
But
yeah,
you know,
so
and back onto the picture thing, you know, I actually here a couple years ago, leaving my daughter's house, there's bears in Missouri, but they're not real plentiful. You know, you don't see them all the time, and they're more in southern Missouri. And I was leaving my daughter's house, and a bear crossed the road. There was two cars stopped in front of me. I didn't even think to pull my camera out, and that was just a bear. So I could not imagine running into a Bigfoot or a Dogman, thinking of pulling my phone out and getting a picture.
yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
I got to tell you something. This is something that really has bugged me for like a couple of years. It doesn't bug me to where I'm
Yeah.
upset, but I told everyone knows my Bigfoot encounter, and I sent this story to this guy. Well, this guy heard it. And
Hmm.
his wife leaves a comment right on YouTube or something.
Hmm.
Well, I don't believe you because you didn't stop and take a picture. And then, and I don't, when people make negative comments, I just smile and laugh and say, thanks for
Right.
watching. Like the other night, Chris, I told some guy says, you're full of shit on
Yeah.
one of these, when I had a guy on, I
Yeah.
forgot the show. He says that to me in a comment, and I said, thanks for watching. Then he responds back, F you.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, I don't, people like that, I got no use for you, buddy.
yeah, me
You know
too.
who you are too, if you're
Yep.
listening.
We had a comment actually from last weekend's show or something. And I just told him, I said, well, if you don't like our content, don't watch, move on or something like
Yeah,
that. And they
I
never
mean,
replied.
I have pretty thick skin,
Mhm.
and I don't get a lot of negativity at all. In fact, my
Right.
Bigfoot encounter,
Right.
people love it and they cherish it, But I
Right.
did get a comment, which was, I guess, but it's the only one I've ever gotten, and this story's been out
Yeah.
for 5 years. How come you didn't get a picture? I
Right.
said, okay, well, first of all, here's why. If you probably weren't paying attention to the story, I saw a Bigfoot, 9 foot tall, transform into like what I call a demon, yell, roar, and scream. My chick gets
Right.
knocked off the boat. Yeah, I'm gonna stop and take a picture of that.
Right. That's the last thing you're thinking about.
Bad Rob,
Yeah.
liar Rob, for not, come on, wake
Yeah.
up. And
Yep.
something like Dave Scott, a beautiful lynx, he's freaking out trying to get a picture of that. And that's
Yeah.
not a cryptid. That's a natural, beautiful animal.
Sure.
And he stumbled for
Yeah.
his phone. But he he gazed at it for a minute before he realized, man, I got to snap a picture. And
Yeah.
that's how it is, So, and you know what? I'm a guy that I'd rather hear the vocalizations than a picture anyway. I love hearing the sounds of
Mm-hmm.
of the
Right.
forest or
Oh,
these
yeah.
beings, right?
Yep. Absolutely. So I'm looking forward I'm going to Eminence, Missouri today till Sunday. And there's a lot of Bigfoot, Dogman activity around that area. So camping, it's going to be fun. So I'm hoping I hear some of those cool forest sounds.
Oh yeah, well, freaky geek. Next time a guy says "f you," tell me you don't swing that. Yeah,
Amen, freaky.
amen to that one. But again, people that I don't get upset with that. You have to have thick skin when you
Oh,
do
yeah,
these
you
types
do.
of shows. It rolls off my back, but
Me too.
it just every once in a while you get a zinger that you take personal, right?
Yeah.
A little bit you do. I mean, I do, not all the time. Sometimes I do, but you got to roll with the flow. Hi, Mike Thompson. Um, so. So I don't know, but I am pretty excited. So yeah, I'm sorry. You're going where again? I'm sorry, Krista.
No,
I
you're
lost
good.
my train of thought.
I'm going to Eminence, Missouri. It's called Cross Country Trail Ride. It's huge. Anybody that has horses, people from all over the United States go there. And they have like 1,000 campsites and that many more stalls. So it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it and just go be one with nature. I'm gonna be keeping my eyes open as well.
One thing I've learned though over the last several years is I when I go to places, especially if it's the
Mhm.
woods,
Yeah,
but now even where I live now, my head is always on a swivel.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, absolutely.
and I do a lot of walks in my neighborhood, and I don't always bring
Mhm.
my phone because sometimes I'll be honest, I like to take walks down by that creek, actually,
Yeah.
just to, like a lot of times before even a show, I don't bring my phone. It's very
Hmm.
pretty. Certain sections of the creek is
Yeah.
pretty. So there's no trail or nothing, but I'll walk along
Sure.
the edge of it and I'll just, look along the creek and just clear my head and just be, with Mother Nature, right? Because I
Hmm.
don't live in the forest. I mean, I got to
Right.
drive half hour to get to it. So that for me is my domain. And a lot of times I purposely don't bring the phone because, my phone blows up.
Hmm.
I mean, when I do a show like today or any show, I got to turn my phone off
Yeah.
because it keeps ringing, or I could put it on
Yep.
vibrate or whatever.
Right.
I like to spend that 20 or 30 minutes just with no bothers.
Yeah.
Nobody calling me.
Way to do it. It's definitely the way to do it. There-
So
Before we get off here, there's a couple of questions
yeah,
and
oh, yeah,
comments maybe we can address real
yeah,
quick.
let's do that. Thanks.
Okay, I'll put the first one up. Tracy Scott asks, at Krista, just wondering who else you follow in the paranormal world and if you've heard of Twin Paranormal, as their latest investigation at the Opera House could lead to unfound bodies from the spirits. Tracy, I follow a lot of people, but I will look into Twin Paranormal. I haven't heard of them, so there's so many out there. You don't know them all, but I will definitely look into them. That'd be interesting to learn more about, for sure. So anyway, that one, and then Lori says, I used to be interested in learning this stuff, but the Holy Spirit has told me repeatedly no. I
Yeah,
wholeheartedly agree, Lori. The only reason we do this, and the only reason I started out doing this, was to help people, because I feel like if there's not people out there like myself, who else do these people have to turn to? A lot of churches frown upon it, and they won't help you. So anyway, I just wanted to.
yeah, and I'll piggyback on that too, Krista and Lori.
Mhm.
I don't investigate anything like
Yeah.
that. That to me, it really scares me because I do believe in God. Therefore, I believe the devil exists. So that does
Yeah.
scare me. I don't think I'd ever want to. I might have had. I probably have had some. My paths have probably crossed with some not so cool things, right? I mean,
Mhm.
frankly, but no, I that's not my topic of study. The thing is that, but when you're into the Bigfoot Dogman world, like we all are,
Yeah.
you can't help but think that there's something that's malevolent that follows a lot of these things. Not so much
Right.
Bigfoot. To me, Bigfoot wants to be left alone. I mean,
Mhm.
the one that I saw, who knows what his problem was, but the Dogman, I can associate that with good and evil. And
Yeah.
the accounts that I get from people are typically not positive,
Yeah.
but
I
I'm not saying that they're good or bad.
Sure.
Like
Sure.
there's good and bad humans, there's probably good and bad cryptids.
Absolutely. I believe that. I believe there is.
So
The next one, Lori says, it's ironic that it hits you when you are at your lowest. What these what else attacks when you're at your lowest? My ability started opening up this year and a half when I have been at my lowest. So this is how I see it, Lori. I agree with you. Um, when I was at my lowest, and I when I did have a spiritual awakening, it was for the good, and my whole life turned around. My thinking got different, my actions got different, my whole life changed. And so I see that as positive. I don't see that as like a negative type thing, that was going on. At that time, I everything, when I was at my lowest, it was right after my grandmother passed away, and I was very close to her, and things just kept getting worse. It was poor me, poor Krista. And once I finally realized it wasn't poor Krista, get your head out of your butt and move forward, and things have changed for me. So, and I believe it was for the positive. So that was it.
and
Answer
well,
her.
I'll ask you something really quick.
Mhm.
When we were talking earlier about negative spirits and stuff, and
Mhm.
people.
Yeah.
Again, I think I hate this. I sound dumb when I say that. I don't want to say abilities, but my senses are heightened with a lot
Right.
of things.
Right.
But do you think though, when it comes to these people that have negative encounters or negative things happen to them, and I don't care what you do with your personal life,
Mhm.
okay? Certainly I've had I've had family and friends that were addicted to
Mm-hmm.
drugs, right? I had
Mm-hmm.
last year suicide, overdose. Do you think though? And again, hey, I owned a bar for 13 years. BMR drinks beers, when have a good time, hang out with
Right.
friends. But I'm not an alcoholic. I'm not a drug
Right.
addict, certainly. But do you think though these people that are in very big despair, where where they just get obliviated, whatever they choose to use, do
Mm-hmm.
you think that these nefarious entities, they're easier to get into your mind, or you think it's more of a hallucinogenic thing?
I think it's you're an open target for people who are, do drugs or not just necessarily do drugs. It's depression and anxiety and things like that. Yeah, absolutely, I
You
do.
know, and again, and even this too, here this is a sensitive subject. Okay, what about though people with mental illness? Do you think
Hmm.
they're more subject to, because you hear a lot of people with mental illness
Hmm.
are murderers but some are not, and I don't mean to be, again, it's delicate, and hey, mental illness is something we all should pay close attention to. Again, it runs.
Yeah,
I have a family member with that, so I love and respect everybody that goes through that.
sure.
But some of these accounts you get, they always want to blame it on this guy had mental illness.
Hmm.
This way he killed his family. So my thinking is this: if your mind is that distorted,
Hmm.
again, you think it's easier for evil to attract to these individuals?
Oh, absolutely. And when we do cases and the true demonic cases that I have done, I mean, it mimics possession and oppression. It mimics mental illness. However, mental illness is a wide topic. There's
Yeah.
all kinds of things in there that people are not murderers, or don't go out and kill
No,
people.
again, and I'm not suggesting that,
Right.
everybody. I just you
But
hear
even
these
even
stories,
right, but
they
like
want to push it on that, and I don't believe
yeah.
that for one.
Well, like bipolar, they mimic being possessed. So that's where, we have to figure out is it they're bipolar or is it really a true demonic entity? So yeah, it all mimics.
You know,
Hmm.
it does, and I think this will end it today. We're coming up on it. It's starting to rain out here. I got some things I need to do, but what? Thank you to Susie B for the awesome super
Yes,
chat.
thank you,
Thank
Susie.
you, thanks everybody in
And real
chat
quick,
today.
can I tell
Yeah,
Lori, she said no, you know,
yeah, go ahead. No, I don't care. Do
wrong.
it.
And Lori, I never took it that way. That's the thing about these shows. We all have our opinions, and nobody's
Yeah,
wrong. It's what we believe, and
yeah.
so there's definitely no ill intent taken at
I
all.
will say this to everybody that's listening and everyone in chat. You guys can say, look, where you come to this channel and Texas channel to Brandy, Krista, Brandy, we loved your comments, and
Mhm.
we don't judge anybody here. In
Nope,
fact,
not at
our
all.
shows are the safest place you can come. You could tell me that you saw the Wizard of Oz, and I'm going to
Mhm.
listen to you without
Right,
judgment. I mean,
right.
and we all have our thoughts, man. That's what makes the shows work,
Mhm.
letting people talk
Absolutely.
and expound on their thoughts. Now, don't the only thing we discourage, you don't bash our guests, you don't bash people in chat, right?
Yeah.
But you know what? You can have a disagreement and you can openly
Sure.
talk about that. We
Sure.
welcome that,
Yeah.
you know.
Because we all don't believe the same, and at the end of the day, we can still be friends, and that's what I think is cool about it. You
My
know.
buddy Mongolian Monster, tonight I'll be doing a fundraiser for Leslie from Cryptid, Canada. She recently lost her home in a fire. Come show your support at 9 East. Thanks, Rob and Krista. Thank you, Miss Mongolian Monster,
Yeah.
Moggs, as I call you. Most people call you. No problem. Everybody, check out Mongolian Monster on YouTube. Fantastic show. Go check him out. Thanks for that. So,
Yeah.
um,
Real quick though, I do got to throw something up
keep
there.
going. Well,
I
just
got
keep
I got to show
talking.
it. I got to show it.
Yeah, go ahead.
When Brandy and I were in Alabama, when you were a kid, do you remember the candy cigarettes?
I used to pretend I smoked.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So we were at a gas station and we found candy cigarettes. I have not
Oh
opened mine.
no,
I have
I
not
would have
opened
bought them
mine,
up. Yeah.
and I'm like really debating when I was a kid, they tasted good, but we were talking, I bet they're awful, really, now that you're an adult, you know? So anyway, that's all I want to throw
They
out there.
probably, well, that brings up something. I'm kind of mad at when I was a kid, the Pez dispensers. Remember with the like Donald
Yep.
Duck, Mickey Mouse? So I got those as a kid with the Pez, and I
Yeah.
used to eat them up all the time. Do you know that I had probably like 100 of these Pez, different ones, right? From all.
Right.
Do you know that I threw them out, got rid of them?
Really?
And so I did, yeah. When I got older, I said, I was probably 20s. I said, I'm getting rid of this garbage. So you know what? I looked up a Donald Duck and a Mickey Mouse Pez dispenser on eBay on one of these auction houses.
Mhm.
Some of these things, Krista, it was 50 cents 30 years ago, are
Right.
fetching thousands of
Oh,
dollars.
wow. And you got rid of all your Pez
Yeah.
dispensers.
Yeah. No, I did. No,
Maybe
and
I'll
I'm not.
keep
When I,
these candy cigarettes and
well,
not
you
open
know
them.
what? Hey, I mean, I tell you what, the original Pez, which was all the cartoon characters. If anybody out there is listening, if you got them, you probably got a gold mine sitting in your garage somewhere, because they are literally worth not hundreds, but some are worth $1,000.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, in fact, a Spider-Man one went for $1 million at an
Wow.
auction. Yeah, so
Wow.
everybody rummage through
Probably
your
had a
store,
Spider-Man.
So the
Wow.
the first Amazing Spider-Man comic book, the very first one published by Stan Lee, the original, the
Mhm.
first one, fetches well over $1 million.
Wow, that's fantastic.
And you guess what else I did? I threw out all my comic books.
Wow.
I
Oh,
wish my mom and dad were, a little more in tune to this stuff, because
right?
baseball cards, comic books, Pez dispensers, I got rid of. Probably, I bet you I threw away. I don't know. I'll just be low. I'll just lowball it. I bet you I've gotten rid of $5,000 of stuff
Oh my gosh.
that probably you spent $100 in throughout your life.
Right. That's crazy.
Yeah. So anybody that has comic books, baseball cards of your dudes, Pez dispensers.
Yeah. In other words,
Yeah.
keep everything from your
Keep
childhood.
'em.
If you still have it.
And if you have kids, make sure
Yeah.
you keep the hell, I don't even remember what they're called, but that
Yeah.
oh, we're off on a different subject here, but you guys know Pokemon. I guess the original Pokemons are fetching a pretty dollar too. So
Wow.
everybody that had those cards,
Yeah.
check them out.
Wow.
But
Very
anyway, great show, Krista. Thanks
Yep,
for joining.
this was
Thanks
fun.
again. Thanks to Susie. Thanks to everybody listening here live in chat, who's going to listen later. It was a fun show, a great show. And next week we will definitely be back. I've got I think Donnie Cho's going to be on Texas Front Porch next Monday. He's
Cool.
going to talk some paranormal with Tex and Brandy.
Cool.
And I don't know who I got lined up yet. I got to get out of my schedule here. Since my knee, I haven't been scheduling too many people, but we're going to get back into gear with that. So, Krista, what's your show about tonight? Then we'll cut it.
Tonight is Brendaline Johnson about spiritual awakening, and then we have the Nana Boss and Danielle Diva going to co-host with Brandy tonight. And then tomorrow night is Brandy and Jason McLean, and they are talking to Ryan Paul Tremblay. They're going to talk monsters.
Oh, Monster Radio! I love Ryan. He's a great guy.
Yeah, I do too. He is a good guy. So
thank you again to everybody. Susie B for the super chat. Everybody participating today. We love you all. Yep. Until next time, for Krista, it's BMR. We're out.
See ya.